It's Mo. It is the middle of December, and at the beginning of December, I went to the last book sale that I will be going to this month. It was the Wall book sale. This is a book sale that happens 4 times a year at a local library. They have a whole room devoted to their sales, and even though I'm on a book buying or book acquiring ban this year, I set myself up so that I could still continue to go to these book sales. So something I wanted to talk about today was my book buying ban. It's the end of 2023 and we're going into 2024. So before I start the actual haul, I want to talk about how my book acquiring ban went and some plans for next year. So, as you may know, since July, I've been on a book acquiring or book buying ban, and of course there are some caveats to this. I'm just not never acquiring books or never buying books. The whole inspiration for this was that my TBR is so large that I am unable to read everything that I want to read off of it in a timely manner. So in July, it was time to pare down my TBR a little, and one of the ways that I was doing that was this book acquiring ban. The rules to the book acquiring ban is that I am not supposed to be acquiring books. That's from little free libraries, that's from thrift stores, that's from used book sales, that's from used bookstores, except I can acquire books at certain book sales, so like 1 to 2 a month that I have set out for myself. And it really worked out to be probably about 1 a month, because there are just some that, like, there was one in the beginning of October and then one at the end of October that I allowed myself to go to. So no acquiring between those sales, except if I do acquire a book, if I find a book in a little free library, if I find a book at a thrift store, then I need to unhaul a book from my TBR. 1 in, 1 out. One of the ways that I assessed what books I could unhaul was to go through my TBR and pick out books for try chapters. So I had quite a few try chapters. I have at least one more coming out, or that has come out this month, to try and figure out some books that I could just go ahead and unhaul, books that I wasn't as excited about anymore, or books that I acquired but I didn't even really think were going to be for me, because I do think one of the bad things about acquiring books, consumerism, etc., is that you just want to keep getting them. You hear about a book on BookTube and you want to get that book, whether it's really going to be a book for you or not. So I did figure out a few books that I wanted to unhaul from that, and any books that I brought in, I had a corresponding unhaul for. Except I did also make an extra caveat that I could get 1 free book a week if I really wanted to. I tried not to do that, but if I had no books to unhaul and there was 1 book per week that I really thought I wanted and I really felt was a good addition to my TBR, then I was allowed to get that. Now, most weeks I didn't end up using that free book. Most of the time, if I brought in a book, there was an unhaul to correspond with it. Those are where all the rules and things, and that's kind of where we are at the end of 2023. I think that it's been working out well for me. I think that it has made me really look at and assess the books that I already have. I think it has made me look at and assess the books that I bring in. It definitely has prevented me from just getting books randomly, or books that I kind of maybe thought I wanted or that I had heard of somewhere and I wasn't sure were really for me. In the majority, there have been a couple, and those have sometimes immediately gone to try chapters or have immediately gotten unhauled. So it's really kept me accountable and thinking about what I want in my TBR library, books that I really want to read. I think that I've also done a pretty good job since starting this book acquiring ban of reading books on audio that I have physically, so that I can continue to get down my physical TBR. There are times when I read books that I don't own physically, but a lot of times before I read one of those, I will try to read a book that I have physically on audio. So as long as I'm reading at least half physical books on audio out of the audiobooks that I'm reading, I feel good about that. So going into 2024, I am going to be continuing this. I am going to be continuing trying to get down my TBR, continue to be mindful and intentional with the books that I bring into that TBR. So I'm still going to allow myself certain book sales. One of the things that I stopped doing was going on the book sale website and just picking out random book sales. So now I will go on maybe once a month to kind of ensure what book sales I want to go to, but I don't go on just looking for book sales to visit. So there are a couple of book sales probably coming up in March that I know of that I want to go to. There's the Wall Library sales. First sale of the year is that month. And there's also the Bryn Mawr, which is a school in Princeton, has a book sale that month. So I probably won't be going to any book sales until those book sales in March. So ideally for December, January, February, and most of March, I will be able to just read books and not acquire any new books unless they fit in with those caveats and rules. So I'm going to continue to allow myself book sales. I'm going to continue to do triad chapters to unhaul. I'm going to continue to have one free book a week that I try not to use, or if I get a book, try to have a corresponding unhaul for. So the rules are pretty much staying the same. One thing that I want to do for the book sales in 2024 is I want to budget and limit myself with the amount of books. The last book sale before the Wall Library sale that I went to, I spent $34. The books were all $1, so I got 34 books. At the Wall book sale, I only spent $6. So I want to give myself a cap of $15 per book sale. Now, am I going to break that rule sometimes? Probably. But will thinking about that rule help me stay within my budget for the majority of the book sales that I go to? I think it will. That is a new add-on kind of rule or intentionality that I want to pursue in my book acquiring ban in 2024. Another thing that I'm going to be doing is making a new RAB spreadsheet for 2024. I will have a video all about my 2022, 2023, and new 2024 RAB spreadsheet coming out probably in January once my 2023 sheet is completely filled out. The RAB spreadsheet, recently acquired books spreadsheet, really helps me keep track of all the books that I bring in, keep track of the books that I've read off those lists, and are a great resource for looking for books because all my books are in one big long list. I will also be doing an additional kind of book challenge with my RAB spreadsheet from 2023, but we will talk about that in that video. But basically, I think I'm going to try and continue this for the entirety of 2024 if I can help it. And, you know, rules may be added or subtracted as I go along, but that's where we stand. Let me know if you've been doing a book acquiring ban or a book buying ban in 2023. Let me know if you're planning on doing one in 2024. Let me know what the rules that you've set out for yourself are. But now let's go to the book haul, my last book haul of the year. This was early December. First, I want to talk about a couple of books that I got after this book sale, but I did have corresponding unhauls for. They're just exciting books, so I want to talk about them. These were all from the Asbury Book Co-op, which is my closest local bookstore and has a great used section. I got The Dead Take the A Train by Cassandra Khaw and Richard Kadri. This was on my want to read list, and it is a sci-fi horror possibly book. It's quite long, and this is actually a proof. It was $1. I don't know what it's about, but I'm excited to read it. Next, I got Night of the Living Res by Morgan Talty. This is Indigenous horror short stories. I'm very excited about this one as well. And also from that bookstore, I got Diary of a Void by Emi Yagi. This is the story of a Japanese woman who is sick of doing the menial tasks at her job, so she tells everyone she's pregnant. It's very short and small, very cute, and I'm excited to get to this one. I'm hoping to read this one in January for Japan in January. At the Wall book sale, I got Arthur C. Clarke, Rendezvous with Rama. I heard Erin read a book talk about this book or the sequel or the prequel. I'm not sure if this is the first in the series or the second in the series, but this is a super classic sci-fi book that I've actually never read and we don't own, which is surprising because we do own quite a bit Arthur C. Clarke. I'm probably not going to put this on my direct TBR. I'm probably going to put this on my sci-fi classics kind of addendum TBR, but I am excited to get to this eventually. You should definitely check out Aaron's series that he's doing where he talks about books that have won both the Nebula Prize and the Hugo Award. It's a really great series all about classic sci-fi and newer sci-fi. Next, this was a book that I got right around the same time as the Wall Library sale, but I actually got it at a little free library, and it is The Hangman by Louise Penny. I've only ever read the first in the Inspector Gamache books by Louise Penny, but I really enjoyed that. I have the second one ready to read, and this I believe is like a get introduced used to reading. It's called Goodreads. So I think it's like a either get introduced to different authors or for dyslexic adults or possibly for young adults. But I was excited to find this super slim little mystery novel. I picked up The Secret Scripture by Sebastian Barry. Sebastian Barry had a book in the Booker this year, I believe, and I saw Bob the Booker talk about this book, which was also on the Booker shortlist in a previous year. So it sounded really interesting when Bob was talking about it. I can't remember what it's about, but I got this because of that, but also because I am working on a Booker project where I read Booker books. So the next book is Notes on an Execution by Danya Kakofka. This is a book that I said to myself in my mind that I would not be picking up. It's super popular on BookTube. It was on people's favorites of the year list all over the place last year. It is about a serial killer who is on death row, and it is told from the perspective of 4 women in his life, not his own. So I really didn't have an impetus to read this. I didn't feel like I wanted to read this, but when I saw it, I was like, maybe I should give it a try. So this is a book that is actually going directly on a try a chapter. I don't hold out hope that this book is for me, and we'll see if I end up enjoying it or not. The next book is a book of poetry, and it is Hands by Moya Cannon. This is just a totally random book of poetry that was at the wall book sale, but I find a lot of poetry that I like that way, so when I see something that is intriguing to me, I pick it up. The next book I got because it has a Tennessee and Nashville connection, and it is The Night Jessie Sang at the Opera by John Killinger. I have no idea what it's about, except the synopsis mentioned the Grand Ole Opry and Tennessee and Nashville, and it looks like it's from the 70s or 80s, and it just seemed like a really interesting book. Foul is Fair by Hannah Capin was on my want to read list. I know that this is a young adult novel. I might do a young adult try a chapter with some of the young adult novels I have, because I have not been that into young adult, but this was on my want to read list because it is like a Shakespeare retelling or has something to do with Shakespeare, so I thought I would get it and give it a try. Also on my want to read list was No One Left to Come Looking for You by Sam Lipsky, and I think this is a mystery that takes place in Brooklyn, and it is a historical fiction set in the 90s. I love the cover, and I recognized it at the book sale, so I picked it up. I got The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell, and this is one that everybody says is really bad. It's supposedly a cozy mystery set in a Great British Bake Off style competition. People say that not a lot happens, that it's not very good, and I do not tend to like contemporary mysteries. This book, I think, is a 2023 release. Yep. I'm intrigued by the premise enough of this one that I want to give it a try. I got 18 Best Stories by Edgar Allan Poe because earlier this year in October, I read The Fall of the House of Usher. Wait, is that Edgar Allan Poe? Yes, The Fall of the House of Usher, and I really enjoyed that gothic novelette, short story. I haven't really read very much Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, The Raven, I'm sure, The Telltale Heart, in school probably. I also thought this one was really cool because it was edited by Vincent Price. The next book is The Incendiaries, a novel by R.O. Kwon. I've heard good things about Kwon's writing. She is a Korean writer. This one is very slim. I love the cover, and I'm interested to read this. I think it's like a family drama coming of age story. Another book of poetry that I got is Dreamwork by Mary Oliver. I've read one Mary Oliver poetry collection, and I have another one which is quite large, so I was excited to see this short work so that I could read another short Mary Oliver poetry collection. One I was very excited to find was Wandering Souls by Cecil Pim. This was on the Women's Prize, and it is about a collection of Vietnamese siblings who all try to escape Vietnam, and unfortunately not all of them make it. So this is about the siblings that do survive as well as their younger brother's ghost. I don't think I've heard of this one, What Strange Paradise, a novel by Omar El-Akkad, but I thought it sounded really interesting. This, I believe, is also about refugees and immigrants, and this might also be a historical fiction. Another very cute little hardcover book. I've never read anything by this author, but it sounded interesting to me. Sounds like something I would like. A book that was on my want to read list was How to Love a Jamaican, which is short stories by Alexia Arthurs. This is stories all about Jamaica. I think they're all different stories told from women's perspectives, all about different walks of life in Jamaica and different time periods in Jamaica. This one sounded really good. And then finally, the last book that I got from the Wall Library sale is Born by Jeff Vandermeer. This is, I think, the first in a duology by Jeff Vandermeer. I read the Southern Reach trilogy. I finished it in 2023 and I loved it so much. So I'm excited to read anything and everything by Jeff Vandermeer eventually. And this is the next one that I found, so this will probably be the next one that I read. And those were all the books that I got at the Wall Library sale and in the month of December. Let me know, again, how your book buying ban is going if you're doing one, if you have plans to do one in 2024. Let me know if you think I have too many rules and caveats for my book buying ban. And also let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned here, and let me know if I should prioritize any of them. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!